this has happened before, and all this will happen again. And again.
Okay, my microphone's working. Yay, team!
Commander, we have verified the jump coordinates with the flagship. We have been ordered to sync our systems and jump.
All birds in the tubes. Prepare for a combat jump. We will launch on the other side.
We are synced, Commander. Countdown is in 6 seconds.
What the frack is that, Commander? It's a comms array with FTL burst communications.
It looks like a giant can opener. One heavy about a dozen unidentified ships. There's a lot of jamming going on.
Any orders from the flagship?
We have been ordered to launch all Vipers.
Airway, boom mission, launch all birds.
We have inbound ramp.
Okay.
Stand by to turn and fire up our flag. flagship, we are increasing to flank speed.
Yes, sir.
Heavy fire hitting the port flight pod.
Port pod taking fire?
Yikes. That was close. Brake right. Brake, brake, brake. You got a pair on your tail nugget.
Scratch another toaster. Commander's log. Commander Indira Modi recording. Now that we know New Helios has survived the 40 years we spent trapped in a gravity well, we have made contact with 2 patrol ships. ammunition is being stored on the Celestra. The Mercury has begun manufacture of replacement armor. If we could evade the Cylon forces long enough to do some with the extensive battle damage. The decision to head back for New Helios is very risky. For 40 years, the Cylons have not found this well-hidden system group with 4 habitable planets. Now we are leading them there. I don't know if the issue has even been discussed. This Captain James Scott seems so self-assured. With the ability to take very long FTL jumps, while using fuel more efficiently, Captain Scott seems to think we have no possibility of failure. I certainly do not want to rush off into the darkness, leaving behind the only civilization one knows. The question I keep asking myself is, what if that is the right thing to do? Forward and topside guns switch to salvo mode.
Yes, sir, Commander.
Heavy fire hitting the port flight pod.
Rook, air raiders on your tail. Break.
Here we go. That battle damage.
Missile salvo ready, sir.
Fire the salvo.
Firing.
Jump on in.
Brake right, you got a raider on your tail. Brake, brake, brake.
That was close. Brake right. Brake, brake, brake. Commander, the area is clear. We have been ordered to jump to the next waypoint.
Triple check the coordinates. Anything come up like debris from the Saturn or one of her birds?
Sir, we still have errors in the air wing inventory flying off this Battlestar. I don't believe we have reliable information on any other ships.
Well, if we encounter one of their birds, the IFF had better work. Make it a priority. Begin jump prep and countdown.
This is the Admiral. We have captured new navigational data. We will be attempting to hide and make some repairs. Stand by for jump coordinates.
559 is on wireless. They have just picked up a colonial transponder.
Landing. Continue jump count. This is Solida Actual. Raptor 559er, what do you have?
It's a colonial transponder, sir. It was probably from a destroyed bird. No doubt about it, sir. It's Raptor 9061 from the Battlestar Saturn.
Vampire. 400 inbound vampires heading toward the sun.
No flying strength level here. You got a pair on your tail number. Combat bandits.
This is the Commander Air Group Civilian. They're swarming. They're all over us.
Ready PPC for flak mode. This is Celerial Actual. Lead them in just like a training exercise. Pull back hard on the stick at the last second. Then we will snap the trap shut on them.
Aye, Skipper. Come on, Toaster, follow me.
fire in the bow. Toaster gunship has this range.
Defensive posture. When we get a firing solution, we can hit them with full offensive setting posture.
Aye, Commander. Posture to defensive.
Good shooting gun cruise. Helm hard to port. Gun batteries in seeker mode.
Commander, both Battlestars are taking heavy fire.
Helm, stand by, turn to port. Maintain formation with Mercury.
echelons are gone, sir. Launching Starburns. Medical Bay, prepare for casualties.
Set ship to condition 2. This is Celeria actual to Mercury actual. Board is clear of toasters. Requesting permission to drag in the wrecked Vipers. We need all the parts we can get.
Firing solution is online.
everything has happened before and will happen again.
Our sitrep has gotten worse. Saturn is missing. We will have to add more Raptor jumps to investigate the alternate jump points. About 10 jumps down the road, we should be able to connect with the Saturn.
FTL drive is spooled up and ready. Still waiting on Solaria to report in.
This is Solaria Actual, ready for new FTL. Both hangar decks shift changes complete.
We will have to make some noise. We need to draw attention to this fleet and take the heat off Commander Ramirez.
Contact. 6 toasters and the God's damned Artemis class, just outside weapons range.
Gun crews hit them. Land the cap. Run the jump checklist.
This is Mercury Actual. Crash turn to port. Warn the cap to avoid our engagement zones.
Combat landings.
Nav, FTL, jump keys. Solaria shows ready for the same set of jump coordinates.
Combat landings. Outstanding. Birds in the barn.
Admiral, Cap is in the landing bay.
300 Raiders, Mark 1 First War, CBDR.
Port pod taking fire.
CRC Solaria to all Battlestar Associations. Inbound contacts jump in. FTL should be slower than ready to jump for the main. Put that combat air patrol on deck. Now.
Heavy fire hitting the starboard flight.
Vampire. 300 inbound vampires heading toward the flagship.
The crews in both Battlestars went about their business professionally. They were worried, concerned about their shipmates on the Saturn. All who understood the impact of time dilation faced further anxiety on this front. The easiest thing to do was immerse themselves into their work. The engineering crews and deck gangs worked the hardest. Engineering had to keep a hybrid FTL jump system running. The integration of the Cylon technology into the human had not been without drama. They were working hard, but keeping the 2-ship fleet moving to its next destination. The supply of sleep was very low for the deck gang. The Cylons seemed to act like angry bees, attacking bears as they bumped around their nest. The deck gang talked while they worked. The chief explained time dilation is similar to taking a 40-year nap. Jim Kinnison, a working-class kid from Delphi on Caprica, wondered aloud why he didn't wake up more refreshed from such a long sleep.
Vampire. 300 inbound vampires heading toward the Mercury. 300 inbound vampires.
Fracking toasters. They're trying to hack into our network.
This is Wheelchair, Co0mmander. Stand up high encryption firewall. Random pattern beta. Stay frosty for signs that protected storage has been breached.
This is Solaria Actual. Firewall breach. Toasters went for the Bitcoin network. Performance is still sluggish. We need those upgrades. Jump now!
This is the XO. We suffered an FTL actuator fault a few seconds before our last jump. It looks like a radiation leak from a nuke that failed to detonate and jammed fissile material into the hull caused us to jump about 5 times the red line on this toaster FTL gear. We're about 1 jump from being out of this Cylon trap.
The problem is that our missing jump contingency plan was to try and jump to a more stable waypoint in this gigantic sea of rocks and radiation. Every 3rd jump was supposed to be a chance to do a quick, couple of data packets with Mercury or Solera and get back to a single lost fleet with the 3 Battlestars.
We happened upon an asteroid field that has everything we need to manufacture replacement hull armor plating, Vipers and Raptors. If we can find our way back to Mercury and Solaria, it could help out a lot with war supplies.
We also got quite lucky with the last classic toaster we destroyed. We recovered a first war portable computer. It was a treasure chest of resource sites for almost everything we need to get back to New Helios.
Cylon activity is fairly high. Signals intelligence tells us they are surging toward exactly where we were supposed to jump.
So I know many think we're lucky to make so many jumps up. The Cylons keep trying to smother the good jump points. We're going to have to go back towards the rest of our fleet in order to take some pressure off of Admiral Lawson.
Captain Phil Langer, reporting in with the flight roster.
Langer, callsign Tiger, handed a tablet computer to the XO, who lit it up and looked over the depleted flight roster. He looked as if he were flying for 18 hours a day. He glanced up at the status displays, seeing damage, but as yet no toasters.
What the frack happened to Acorn?
A Cylon anti-ship missile grazed her Viper, cracked the cockpit glass. Spidered it pretty badly. She tried to eject the cockpit so she could see where she was going. She is suffering from radiation exposure. Doc is not going to let her fly for at least a week.
You are our new Commander Air Group.
The XO asked, referring to Commander Air Group. Langer spoke up. The XO stated in a matter-of-fact kind of way. You are qualified in Vipers. You taught me enough so I could qualify. Do you want to make the switch and lead from the front?
Actually, with all the people that were flying off Valkyries before the nap, it would be easier to let the current temporary squadron leaders stay in their posts. I can hang back, maximize the impact of the assault Raptors. Then I can run the battle from a big picture perspective. It's hard to run an air wing when you're jinking and making crazy 9G turns trying not to get your ass shot off.
I think it's a good idea, Tiger. It might be less chaotic running the air wing your way. Just don't think about it too much. When we call for combat landings, that is no time for an in-depth analysis.
A flash of emotion swept across his face. Captain Langer tensed up significantly. He looked like he had something on his mind. Commander Ramirez looked like she had something more to say, but decided it might be better said in a private place.
Get some rack time, Tiger. You have an air wing to run.
Spool up the FTLs and make sure the jump coordinates don't have us jumping into a Cylon comms relay this time.
I am going to the LSO post and run this one from the Battlestar. My Raptor needs a gimbal adjustment.
Captain Langer waved an unneeded, half-hearted salute and left the CIC.
This is Angel. Let's keep these toasters away from Saturn so she can wait for the band.
Firefly, this is Tiger. Do you have any targets for my assault raptors?
Angel, Tiger, we have some toasters trying to chase down the mighty Mark 7. We are coming in hot. We will try and lead them right to you. Kind of late to the party, Tiger. Did you think being made temporary commander of an air group meant you didn't have to fly?
Shut the frack up and keep those toasters away from the ship. Tiger to Angel. Copy that. Raptors on me.
This is Saturn Actual. We're outgunned here. Air Wing, prepare for combat landings. Don't stray too far from the barn.
Angel. Copy that. Actual.
Tiger to Actual. We can take one of these toasters out and then make for the barn.
Autobiography, the video diary of Major Sandra Keynes, Executive Officer, Battlestar Saturn. I was born on Scorpia and an experienced 28-year-old lieutenant the day the Cylons attacked the Scorpia shipyards. I was flying combat air patrol for the shipyard. As an experienced pilot, I set the patrol route around the shipyard. I made sure we passed over the Pegasus once an hour in my Viper. I was filled with envy as I flew over slowly. The third day, I snuck a digital camera into my plane and took some shots. My wingmate, a green 24-year-old ensign, Donnie Moore, call sign, Leadfoot, was nervous about spending too much time taking digital pictures of the Battlestar in the shipyard for a 3-month overhaul. "Come on, LT, let's get back on a normal patrol circuit," he said. I knew someday I would command a Battlestar. The toasters jumped in and hit the shipyard with nukes. I received orders to take out the inbound nukes. I lined up my shot and was about to open fire. Then my threat warning went off in my ear. I heard a solid tone, which means the raider had weapons lock on me. I broke off the nukes and pulled a 9G turn to keep the raider from shooting me dead on the spot. Then there was a flash of red light and my Mark 7 shut down. I was headed out to deep space when my plane shut down. I watched Pegasus blow up, though I learned later that they had jumped at the last minute. I saw Leadfoot killed and the rest of the shipyard destroyed, while I was helpless, heading out into deep space. My combat air patrol was a standard 8-hour patrol. The toasters attacked during the 3rd hour. I guess the plan was to disable the Mark 7 and any other forces and then come by at their leisure to shoot me down. I guess they missed me. It was cold in the plane, but I had 43 hours of oxygen left and was quite bored by the time Scorpia was reduced to a blue dot in the cockpit. I was always a bit of a gearhead, so I thought about the situation. It was obvious to me a virus had shut my plane down. Since I was alive with 43 hours of oxygen, I wondered if the operating system had just been powered down or destroyed. The only way to find out was to reboot the operating system. Normally the power for that came from the launching system of the Battlestar. The battery was powered up, all systems were checked out before the powerful magnetic catapult thrusted the Viper out of the launch tube. I had the specifications of the Mark 7 memorized before I had ever flown the bird. If every circuit breaker in the cockpit was turned off and there was sufficient battery power, the Mark 7 might boot back up. It took 2 hours to get everything shut down. The master circuit breaker let go a tiny spark when I re-engaged it. Nothing happened the next few times I cycled the master circuit breaker. I had anticipated this scenario, so I always kept a voltmeter in the cockpit. I tested the breakers and got low voltage on the master circuit breaker. There was no voltage on the auxiliary breaker. That breaker was kept off so it would not be drained accidentally. The 3rd time I pressed that breaker in, it popped out of the panel and floated into the cockpit. Now it was time for an EVA. My plan was to manually connect the auxiliary battery's circuit breaker. My oxygen supply was showing 38 hours when the Viper flashed and powered up. Getting the cockpit glass back on took another 2 hours. I left all the communications gear circuit breakers off to avoid reinfection with the Cylon virus. All I had was a battery-powered walkie-talkie. Then I just started flying around until I got picked up by the Battlestar Fury, a Valkyrie-class ship that had escaped the destruction of the colonies. When she was lost, I was transferred to the Athena. I kept my mouth shut for nearly 2 years. I did my job and avoided promotion until Commander Stephen Evans found me, ridiculously made me a captain. I was Chief Engineering Officer on the Saturn after an injury took me out of the cockpit permanently. Then a few days before the last act of Operation Magic Trick, Saturn's XO was given his own command. I have never been a people person, always a gearhead. I was in my element upgrading systems, coming up with new encryption to keep the toasters out of Saturn's network. Fracking toasters.
Major Keynes, you keep me aware tactically.
Aye, sir. Combat Air Patrol is up with 16 Vipers and 3 Raptors. Navigation is calculating a safe jump point. Engineering is reporting some breakers blown in that last jump. They are spooling up. Contacts. Sir, unidentified. 5 of them. 9 inbound vampires. Definitely not modern. XO to air wing back in the barn combat landings. Missile batteries fire salvo 1 at target 4. Guns report firing solutions. Fire at your discretion. Remember, there is no supply depot. If we run low on bullets, we will need to take them from the Cylons. Computers have a jump solution. Our Cylon network hack has the likelihood of contacts already at the best jump solution is 55%. Sublight is nominal, all lights green. Engineering is replacing the circuit board on the FTL pressure sensor. They report they are still spooling even though the board shows red. Air wing is on the deck. Alert Vipers are in the tubes ready for a combat launch on the other side. Current enemy contacts are
Heavy
fast.
fire hitting the starboard flight pod.
We just destroyed a Kerastes and a mission kill on a Nemesis class. We are fighting a museum fleet. Helm 10 degree turn soft to port. Engineering, get me a status on FTL. Navigation, confirm the numbers. 1 person inputs, 2 people check.
FTL nav numbers triple
Hard
check.
kill. Nemesis class.
Hold 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Hit it.
We're gonna need engineering to get those FTL sensors working, or this plan to get to Mercury and Zalora is fracked.
I may need to go down there. My replacement is sounding a little overwhelmed on the wireless. Engineering, we still are not getting any signal from the FTL pressure sensor. Are you sure the cable is firmly plugged in?
Is it possible we can find a place to hide for a few hours and deal with this twitchy FTL drive?
That sounds like a really good idea, Commander. Let me take a look at the next set of jump choices and see what I can come up with. Combat Air Patrol, this is the XO. Take missile defense positions and prepare for combat landings. Weapons fire missile salvo 1. Weapons, we have fast gunships inbound. Update firing solutions now, please. All right, helm turn starboard 45 degrees. We have firing solution on the front batteries. Request weapons free.
Combat landings. Outstanding. Birds in the bar.
Combat landings.
Vampire, vampire, vampire. 400 inbound vampires heading toward the Saturn.
Heavy fire hitting the port flight pod.
This is XO Saturn. Engineering FTL sensors in combat are offline. Nav is programmed. You will have to hit the button down there in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit it. All engineering. We will be able to sit here max 2 hours. I want whatever parts need to be swapped out in engineering to be prioritized. I want the FTL status in combat to be 100% accurate.
Yes, sir. This is Tiger. I'm on Alpha rotation. This is me, pretending to sleep.
Tiger, please sign these orders. They will let me take Acorn and 2 other pilots with short-term injuries and use them in damage control.
Do not, under any circumstances, let Arrow take manual control of any guns. I know there are safeguards, but she will find a way to hit the Saturn in spite of the governors.
Get in your rack, Tiger. We may have a couple of toaster-free hours. This is the executive officer. Wake up, people. FTL systems test has been successful. We are expecting inbound toasters in the next 3 minutes, so wake up and get ready for some more combat landings. FTL, run the checklist. Contact 3 small, 2 medium. CBDR, launching raiders. Air wing to defense positions. Combat landings will be authorized. This is the XO. Launch missile salvos. Let's see if the autoloader can make it through 1 cycle without having to do a manual load.
This is the XO to forward batteries to maintain firing rate.
Network breach. Toasters have hacked our network.
Pod taking fire?
We have an armor breach in fire control. Fire control systems are taking damage. Jump drive ready. Coordinates confirmed. Jump on my mark. Now.
Pair of raiders on your tail. Break left. Never fly straight and level more than 5 seconds in combat.
Break right, you got a raider on your tail. Break.
Vampire. 400 inbound vampires heading toward the Saturn.
Heavy fire hitting the port flight pod.
Scratch another toaster.
Heavy fire hitting the port flight pod.
Engineering getting hammered. Possible armor Bravo.
Radiological alarm. Nuke inbound.
This is the XO. Nuclear impact.
Radiological alarm. Nuke inbound.
Nuke hit. Armor holding for now.
Heavy fire hitting the starboard flight pod.
Break right, you got a raider on
Vampire. 300 inbound vampires heading toward the flagship. Radiological alarm. Nuke inbound.
Breach. Toasters have hacked our network.
This is the XO to Erwin
Radiological alarm. Nuke inbound.
Another nuke hit. Damage and casualties in engineering.
XO, take command of engineering.
This is the CAG, Tiger. Vipers, protect each other and prepare for emergency combat landings. Rainbow, watch my 6. I'm lining up for a kill shot on the toaster carrier.
Pull up the FTL drive. Prepare for emergency jump. The instant the last bird is in the barn.
Flag starboard. Helm gentle starboard turn. Kick it harder after the flag kills the current missile salvo. Direct hit inbound.
Heavy fire hitting the port flight pod.
This is Tiger. Black Squadron. Cover yellow while they land in the ventral starboard pod.
Nuke inbound. Headed for engineering. Nuclear impact engineering. FTL is offline.
This is the XO in engineering. All birds combat landings. CIC, this is Major Keynes. Begin jump count. Ignore the FTL status. Hit it when the birds are in the barn. Trust me, the ship will jump.
FTL not stable. Air wing is in the pods.
FTL not stable. Air wing is in the pods.
Jump the ship.
She's holding the column with her bare hands. My gods. this has happened before, and all this will happen again and again.
A Battlestar is a very large ship. Do you agree, Commander Modi?
Admiral Lawson pointed to the small box, half full, less than a cubic meter of debris. Included some pieces of electronics, some bits of hull. There were definite signs that Saturn was somewhere nearby, sometime recently. It was obvious that it was involved in a battle, perhaps up to 12. This was because, due to a shortage of parts, or the time to use the Mercury's foundry to manufacture parts, the SAR birds of the Solaria were, when time permitted, sucking debris into large bags. These desperate efforts to save themselves had on at least 12 occasions picked up debris that could be traced with certainty to the Battlestar Saturn. Curious, there was very little evidence as to when that battle occurred and what the outcome was. This could have been a psychological action from the Cylons to give the humans hope and then crush it. This was more the type of thing a skin job like Cavill would pull. The mechanical Cylons, which were the only types they'd seen in 3 weeks since the nap, were more into brute force. The debris had to have come from the Saturn. That gave hope. Commander Modi smiled, knowing the Admiral was thinking aloud. It was how she brainstormed.
We at least agree that a cubic meter of debris, picked up in a dozen different jump points, is not enough to account for the Battlestar Saturn?
Standard protocol is to leave a data packet, a small device with a signal made for us to pick up. The Saturn has dozens of the devices on the board and can manufacture them anytime it needs to. Yet we have not found one of these devices. It's called the Breadcrumb 1.0.
The two women of less than average height stood in a room off the repair bay for the air wing in the starboard flight pod of the Battlestar Mercury. The computer experts had explained the issues. The Cylons more than likely intercepted the buoy, even if the Saturn had even bothered to leave one behind.
Commander Modi, your idea is to risk our most valuable asset, Captain Miller. Put him on a Raptor, fly to the Cylon comms array, board it and hope the Raptors don't get their lights shot out on the way, or shot by the toasters on the comms array. What did you call it? Operation Can Opener.
First, I want you to know I did talk to Captain Miller about this. He is confident that the toasters have mostly neglected the network in the time that has passed since the last battle in Operation Magic Trick. One of the things we learned about the Cylons is that the programming talent mostly came from the humanoids. Certainly, during the First War of the Cylons did a lot of hacking, and they used brute force of the collective compute power to overwhelm us in many battles. That was 90 years ago, however, and things have changed. Captain Miller has demonstrated to my satisfaction that humans have more talent for innovation than a machine.
So what are we supposed to do? Are we to delay during battle conditions with toasters surrounding us and hitting us with gunships and missiles and fighters while Captain Miller and his hackers and the Marine escorts attempt to invade a Cylon communications array?
I think the best way to go is to go small and light, perhaps 3 assault raptors and 2 recon birds. We have built up a good local navigational database as we jumped around looking for the Battlestar Saturn and watching our combat capabilities fall by 40%. We do not have an infinite amount of time here.
Admiral Lawson looked pale and ill, as she had every one of the 3 weeks they had spent trying to get to New Helios after the nap. She gestured at the metal box. Near the top was a flashlight with the logo of the Battlestar Saturn on the handle. It amazed her that people found time to craft such items as they ran from their enemy, who very nearly had made the human race extinct. We can keep our jump database secure, Captain Thomas. Head geek. Miller spoke as he walked from the deck gang, many of whom had stepped away from their repair backlogs to give him a high five. Miller had always thought of himself as a blue-collar kind of a guy.
I certainly hope you did not hack my calendar to get this meeting appointment.
Guessing your password, Admiral Lawson, hardly reaches the level of a hack or a crack.
So much for the concept of private meetings of the senior command.
Okay, Admiral, this is pretty simple. Most of the skin job toasters died in the Civil War. 3 models joined up with the old man, Admiral Adama, and are now in the 40th year of a very long camping trip. CMP was not Baltar's work. He had a PR image that exceeded his programming skills. I think it was the Model 6 he hung around with at the Defense Ministry in Caprica City.
It's that easy to put a program into the Cylon network that knows how to hack its way into Saturn.
That's not it at all, Admiral Lawson. It's built-in design arrogance. The Cylon network has operated now for almost 90 years on the assumption that all traffic is authorized. They never considered the possibility that anybody can get onto their network without authorization. They said the security was too complex for any human to decrypt. Design arrogance. They seem to have forgotten that humans invented the Cylon. Most of my hacks over the course of the war simply pretended to be routine message traffic. Reported shipment of this to that place, etc., etc., etc. I worked for Commander Ramirez for 8 years before the fall. I was her all-star, and that didn't stop when she took over command of the Saturn. She and her staff know how to communicate with us in the event we are separated. We may even find a message waiting for us when we hack in.
If this works, we will save a lot of time fighting our way around this gigantic sea of rocks.
All right, the mission is approved. Try not to get yourself shot, captured, or killed.
I have my best crews ready to fly with him and the toughest Marines in the colonial fleet.
Commander Modi and Captain Miller smiled at each other. Admiral Lawson felt like she was going to throw up. She thought better of discussing the obvious energy between the pair. The fact was that HG was attached to her command. That was enough separation to overlook any relationship. This and the optics were bad, even though her own relationship with Stanley Jacobs was actually registered with Colonial Fleet HR.
Admiral, all ships signal ready for combat jump. Birds are in the tubes, ready to launch on the other side.
This is Mercury Actual. Jump the fleet.
Jump complete. The air wing is launching. No contacts yet. Contacts. 2 heavies, 3 light, 5 unidentified. We are scanning for the Saturn.
Yikes! That was close. Brake right, brake, brake, brake. You got a pair on your tail, Nugget.
Rook, pair of raiders on your tail. Brake left. Never fly straight and level more than 5 seconds in combat.
Squadron-sized raider group approaching Mercury's port flight pod. Took a hit. Damage is light. Popped a few breakers. Playing through. Hey, Nugget, watch your flight leader.
Engaging.
Brake right, you got a raider on your tail. Brake, brake, brake.
Squadron braking left, focusing on gunship. Big Battlestar's looking good pilots. Let's keep it that way.
Viper 783 reports a recon Raptor wreck, cold electronically, says it may be from Saturn Air Wing. We have not lost any recon birds this hop, sir.
Signal to head geek. Stand by for launch.
If you like this content, please comment, like, or subscribe.
What's your intervals, people? Time to make a bunch of mama toasters cry. Fire control is warmed up and preparing solutions. Drinks on the first nugget to lose their kill slot. Escort clear zone is intact. Priority 1 is in safe hands. Escort priority 1 still online. Grab your sidearm, Colonel. They're already here.
It says here that Major Keen found one of the FTL coils was shorting out and sending high voltage to the sensors and control systems. This must be why the FTL was showing offline CIC while everything seems to be working in engineering. She pulled a bad coil and conducted a high-risk part replacement on the core.
Because I fly Raptors, I understand the basics of FTL engineering. That part replacement she did normally requires a cold FTL coil and 2 hours to perform. She signaled the CIC and told us to force the jump while she and another engineer lifted the FTL coil and installed it. The coil was jammed. Wouldn't go in. She took a flathead screwdriver and a hammer and tried to bang the unit in place. An energy surge and it fed back the coil. Exploded when the actuators created the FTL field. She was killed instantly by shrapnel.
Oh, the root cause was the repair?
No, the replacement part was not tested after fabrication, before it was put into parts inventory. Major Keynes knew about the problem and had already updated the procedures in our fabrication equipment. This part was sourced from Mercury, where they had not updated their manufacturing processes.
So she's a hero. She saved us from near certain death, violating all safety procedures. She knew that the part might blow up in her face. But she also knew that if the FTL couldn't make the jump, we were all dead in the water.
Is that what you're going to say at the memorial?
I have a couple of hours to decide that.
You going to eat that?
No. Phil, go ahead. Knock yourself out.
Can't remember the last time I ate.
So, what do you think we should do about engineering?
I don't know. Lieutenant Callahan seems over her head. It's not like we have a deep bench full of engineers. I was wondering what you were going to do about the XO slot.
Well, we need something. I can't be barking out orders in CIC and be an expert in the FTL drives. Something's wrong with this fracking database. Every time I search for FTL engineers, I get an MD5 check some error. Somebody must have fracking messed with the fracking database.
Weapons free and bad numbers, folks. Open racks and engage. Squadron, copy. Set position
What happened?
Somebody used my command authentication and tried to remove his record from the personnel database. Pretty nifty work, but just didn't make the MD5 checksum signature work. What the frack?
Master Sergeant Victor Torres has been working in the starboard deck gang, doing Viper repairs. He has a postgraduate degree in faster-than-light physics from the University of Virgon. A degree in physics from the Taran Institute of Technology. What the frack is he doing messing around with Viper repairs?
Get his sorry ass up here right fracking now.
Marines to airlocks Alpha and Delta.
The commander was speaking in a low growl. Victor Torres was about 1.85 meters tall, athletically built with a mop of non-regulation hair pushed back behind his shoulders. His uniform was worn out from many months of use. His eyes darted between Commander Ramirez and Phil Langer. He looked suspicious at this meeting with the top 2 live officers on the damaged Battlestar. He had spent years keeping his profile low to avoid the attention of senior leadership. Now he was being called into a meeting with Commander Ramirez. This did not go well for his plan to hide his education and skills.
Welcome, Sergeant Torres. Can I offer you some coffee? Perhaps something to eat?
Action Station's commanding officer is offering me food.
Commander Ramirez poured a cup of coffee after Sergeant Torres nodded. She poured it black and then offered him sugar and cream, which he declined to add to his drink.
Sergeant Torres, you have spent the last 2 years as a knuckle-dragger. You are flagged by the chief as the go-to guy for complicated Viper or Raptor repairs.
Any problems with my work, sirs?
Were you aware that the fact we had serious FTL issues and nearly got blasted out of the sky because of them?
Why would a knuckle-dragging NCO care about that?
I don't know. Why would a knuckle-dragger hack into the database for the Colonial Fleet and cover up the fact that he's qualified as an FTL engineer?
What are you talking about?
You're busted. You have a 4-year degree from Virgon University. You have an advanced degree in FTL physics from the Taran Institute of Technology.
Are you crazy, or do you just have a death wish?
I just didn't want the responsibility. If I make a mistake on a Viper repair, we lose one pilot. That is a tragedy, but at least everyone else stays alive after that. One mistake with an FTL repair and we all die. That's too much responsibility. I don't want it.
No. The mistake you made was trying to pull this hack on my ship. My ship. I started out this war in IT, Sergeant. You are out of uniform, Mr. Torres. Congratulations. You are now our chief FTL engineer. Go get your sorry ass out of my office and into engineering. And in uniform. I want to report on the FTL status in 3 hours.
The commander stood up and offered a set of captain's pins for the former NCO's uniform. Torres remained seated, looking like he had just been hit by a truck.
When your commander stands up, you stand up, Captain. Are you waiting for an engraved invitation to get to engineering? Get down there and get to work on that report.
See the quartermaster for a new uniform, Captain. Some announcements. Sergeant Victor Torres is now Captain Victor Torres. He is now to be our chief engineer, due to him having sat for undergraduate and postgraduate degrees in FTL physics and systems. We will all thank him for taking this new position. Our short-term mission is going to be to stay away from the Cylons long enough for Captain Torres to overhaul our FTL's control systems and verify that all of the various parts pass quality assurance testing. May we all pray for his success.
So say we all.
So say we all. So say we all.
So say we all.
Major Langer is now our XO and a non-flying commander in our air group. We're going to need to keep the Cylons from hitting us with weapons and making this repair job harder. Alright, settle down, people. I understand this is a lot of information. We have been having some information dumps that indicate some places where we can snag some parts. We have 3 jumps planned in this operation. Squadron commanders, you have your work assignments in the handheld computer. Make sure your pilots coming off medical leave have actual medical sign-offs permitting flight status. Do not allow them to bullshit their way on if they have not been medically cleared. Is that clear?
What's your intervals, people? Time to make a bunch of mama toasters cry.
All right, people, prepare for a combat jump. Land the combat air patrols.
Contacts. Dratus. 4 gunships, one is on CBDR collision course. They found us. Continuing jump sequence.
Air wings.
All undamaged tubes have planes ready for combat launch.
Jump key.
Jump keys inserted. Board is green.
FTL.
FTL board is green.
50 missiles heading for the port flight pod.
Nav.
Nav computers are synced.
Combat jump, go!
Combat jump.
Escort clearance zone is active.
Orange Squadron, Plumber, split into 2 tactical groups. Group A, engage the inbound missiles. Group B, stand back and take out the stragglers.